Could the Yankees be interested in Walker Buehler? It's possible, and we're going to talk about it.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, happy day after Thanksgiving, otherwise known as Black Friday.
Yes, happy Black Friday. Black Friday's vibe has changed a lot in the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah, people aren't killing each other for TVs at Walmart anymore. It's all
so in
stuff.
one way we've progressed as a society.
In one singular way, we have progressed as a society. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast or whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like the video, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live, like this one. Coming up on today's show, it's Fanmail Friday, so we'll be answering your burning questions. And if you're in the chat, feel free to ask us questions, and we'll be answering them in segment 3. But first, before we get to Fanmail Friday, let's talk about Walker Buehler, because some of the stuff that the Dodgers have been doing might mean that he's gone, and maybe the Yankees will pursue him.
Yeah, if you hear my dog crying in the background, I guess she's a Dodger fan. So she's not appreciative of Walker Buehler not returning. It looks like, from all indications, Walker Buehler is not going to be back. With all the money they've spent, and they've kind of locked up their rotation as of now, it seems like, why would Walker Buehler wind up being back? And he's not going to move into a bullpen role because he's a starter. I mean, he's only 30 years old. He's not at the point of his career where he's going to move back to being a bullpen guy. So it looks like his time as a Dodger is going to be over. And the question really is if you're the Yankees, are you comfortable with giving him a deal and letting him be a part of your rotation? He's 30 years old. You got to remember, at one point, he was one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, he's one of the top young arms in all of baseball. He's been hurt the last 2 years. Last year, he had 16 starts. He was 1-6 with a 5.38 ERA, but in the postseason, he was really good. Remember, he got the last outs against the Yankees. He was really good in the Yankees series. 3.60 ERA in the playoffs with the Dodgers. The projected salary is low, but I do want to remind people of his career stats, because he's had a very, very good career. And I feel like he doesn't get the credit just because of the last 2 years that he's had. And he's been hurt, and people have kind of forgotten. I'm sorry, I'll let my dog out in a second. I don't know why she's upset.
It's okay.
But in the last 2 years, Walker Buehler has not had good numbers. But previous to that, he's had electric years. In 2018, which is his real rookie year, 8-5 with a 2.62 ERA. That's an elite year. 2021, 16-4 with a 2.47 ERA and 33 starts. So he's got ace capable stuff. He is capable of being an ace. And I think it's, for the money that's projected for him to be signed with, I think it's worth taking a shot at for the Yankees. Now, I'll say this. I'd prefer Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
I think Jack Flaherty is a better Jack Flaherty is a better option. And I'd prefer who's the other pitcher that's going to be on the market that everyone's talking about?
Corbin Burnes?
Not Corbin Burnes. Why is the name Shane Bieber? Shane Bieber's the one that I prefer to go after, because I think there's far more upside, Cy Young potential, top pitcher in the league potential. So I think there's more potential. Plus, he's coming off Tommy John surgery, so it's not like Shane Bieber has been bad over the last 2 years. He just had to have Tommy John surgery, so it's not like. And most pitchers come back really good from Tommy John. You don't know if Walker Buehler is going to return to form, which is why, and I'll leave it at this before we get your take on it, Walker Buehler is only projected to get a 1-year deal for about $3.8 million, which is a really, really, really solid contract.
That's cheap compared to everyone else.
That's the projection, and that's what they're saying he's going to get. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll actually sign for that once teams start bidding and start wanting him. They're saying likely what he winds up signing for is about 2 years, $10 million, which I still think is a great deal. Yeah. So if you're willing to go the second year, if you want to go $10 million, I actually think it's well worth it, to be honest with you.
Does Nikki want to be on the show? Is that why she's crying? Maybe she wants to come up on the show.
Nikki, unfortunately, is I don't think the last time you guys have seen Nikki, she was about this big and I could lift her. Nikki is now 80 pounds. She has tripled, quadrupled, whatever you want to call it, in size since I've last had her on the show.
Oh my God.
unbelievably large. So yeah, Nikki is not possible for me to lift up and get on the show anymore. I can barely lift her anymore. If I can pull up a picture on my phone, if you guys really want context of how big Nikki is right now, and I'll put it up to the camera so you guys can see on the live stream. That's a latest picture of Nikki and how big Nikki is at this point. Wow. So yeah,
oh my goodness.
Nikki is now a fully grown chocolate lab, and she has maybe she'll make an appearance in the show at some point, but not for a while.
He weighs more than I did when I was 12 and started 7th grade. I was 75 pounds.
Wow, you were really slim then. Jeez.
I was 5'2" and 75 pounds. I was basically I could blow over in the wind. I was yes. I think would I do, because in the rundown it says, would I do 2 years at 10 million? Yeah. One, it's not my money. Two, that's cheap. 5 years a year, like 5 million a year. That's what I meant. Yes. I know
it's been 2 bad years now. It's been 2 bad years in a row.
He's coming back from that's where I think injury though, right?
He is, especially last year. He didn't get back until 2 years ago. Started the year, got hurt, wasn't able to finish off the year. Then this past season comes back midway through the year, goes 16 starts, 5 ERA, really not solid performance. But look at the year before that. I mean, last healthy year. So 2021, he goes 207 innings, which is a full year, right? And he, really gives you, not a lot of home runs, which is, I think, really key for the Yankees. 212 strikeouts. And he gives you a full 16-4, 247, great pitching year. 2022, he goes 6-3. He only gets 12 games in and has a 4.02 ERA. Winds up being hurt, has to be out the rest of the year. And he was so hurt that he was out into the next year. Finished the year with 16 starts in 2024, 5.38 ERA. But again, did get better in the postseason. I think that's worth noting.
Right, because if he started later in the season, he was probably taking some time getting into the season and getting more into form, and then he showed that form in the playoffs. I would take a flyer on him if I were the Yankees. You also
see, this is also worth noting too, you saw with Garrett Cole a little bit coming back too, and Garrett Cole's a different breed, but pitchers often who don't get a spring training wind up struggling in that year back. Pitchers, spring training is so vital for pitchers, and when you don't get a full program, you don't get to face live batters, it winds up being a lot more of a difficult process to get back into the groove of the season. So,
well, was it this year or the year before we spoke about that? Because Garrett Cole admitted, he said, 2023 was the first real spring training that I had, which was why I did so well. First spring training with the Yankees.
With the Yankees, yeah.
Because you had COVID, you had the lockout. Then what happened? Something happened in 2022. So, and then when he got hurt in 2024, it was more the same. It was like, oh, no, he really didn't have a spring training because his elbow got injured. And yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, some guys are just methodical. They have routines. And if that routine is broken up in any way, it just affects them. That's just how they are. And that's baseball players are creatures of habit. They're creatures of superstitions. Like they have all these things that they need to do. They're so regimented, some of them, where one thing, depending on how, like, it could be a little thing, could be a big thing, but can mess up the entire rest of their season if things don't start the way they're supposed to.
But you ignore that. I mean, rookie year and at 23 years old in 2018, 2.62 ERA. 2019, 3.26 ERA. 2020, 3.44. 2021, 2.47. Really has had great ERAs his entire career.
It's just an injury thing.
Has ace-capable stuff. Again, at one point, I think he was looked at as one of the top young pitchers in the game. Yeah. So I don't know why you wouldn't. And again, I don't know what the thought process is on whether or not he's going to be able to bounce back career-wise. I mean, it seems like, you'd like to think that if it does scare me that the Dodgers are so willingly able to move on from him. Because if he's their guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Yankees wouldn't be signing him as an ace. Right?
No,
they wouldn't even be signing him as a number 2. They might not even be having him as a number 3. He could be the number 4 guy in the rotation behind Luis Gil. So,
and that's why I think you do it. That's why I think you do it. I mean, you could still bring him in and bring it. This doesn't take you out of the running of a Shane Bieber. I don't think they're truly in the running for Corbin Burnes. I'd like them to be, but I don't think they're going to play in that price range. I think
hold off on that, because one of our Fanmail Friday questions actually brings up Corbin Burnes. We'll talk about more about that.
But this is a guy that I would take a 2-year flyer on. I just think it's worth doing.
Me too. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Walker Buehler thing, because I would totally do it. Like 100%, without a doubt. Why not? It's not expensive. Again, he's not expected to be the ace. Matt Blake can work with him. He has a past where he does really well. He's just had injury issues because he's a Dodger, and all Dodger pitchers get injured at some point for some unknown reason. True. It's really odd. But coming up next, we're going to start Fanmail Friday. I know we did things a little different today. We're also doing Fanmail Friday live on a Friday night. So things are just...
We have lives.
It's just different. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. And if you'd like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. And I promise to get them up Monday through Thursday. I kind of forgot. Ask us anything, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, where you get top priority and your questions are answered, usually in segment 1. The link is in the description. It isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions. We send you out every bit of information that we get, breaking news, roster moves, all that stuff. There's a 14-day free trial. All right. So coming up next, the aforementioned Fan Mail Friday. See, this is what happens when we're live. There we go. Okay. So if you love attending live events, I do. I love seeing live music. I've seen my favorite band of all time, Duran Duran, 24 times. I know, it's insane, but I just love going to concerts and being in that atmosphere. And I want to make new memories seeing Duran Duran, and hopefully they'll go on tour again soon. But with Gametime, getting the best tickets for every live event has never been easier. They've got a new feature called Gametime Picks, which does all the hard work for you. So instead of searching through thousands of tickets, Gametime Picks filters out the fluff, and it shows you only the absolute best deals on great seats. And if that wasn't enough, they have an all-in pricing feature. You just toggle on it and it shows you the full price up front. So there's no surprises at checkout, because that happens with a lot of different things. Like when you're buying clothes or anything like that, you see like an upcharge and you're like, what is this? Gametime doesn't have that. You also get seat views. So if you've never been to a venue, you can see a panoramic view from your seat in the app, so you can decide exactly where you want to sit. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, so here we are. It's Fan Mail Friday. We're doing it live. We're doing it like we usually do, except we're moving it to segment 2. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but I did. Okay, so we're starting off, as usual, with our insiders. And our first insider is Betty. And she says, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Budget aside, what would your ideal rotation look like? Cole, Burnes, Rodon, Schmidt, Cortez? Question mark?
Yeah, I don't know if honestly, my ideal rotation, unfortunately, does not have Cortez in it. I think the Yankees are kind of done with him too. I think there'll be signings and stuff like that to replace that. And I guess Betty's question was the Burnes question. There's more than one Burnes question. I'll say this about Corbin Burnes. I don't think the Yankees are going to be involved in that. I don't think they're going to play in that field when it comes to price tag. And I think the Mets will be involved, and I think the Orioles will be involved. And I think he's going to remain an Oriole in here as well. The new ownership buying the team, I think when you come in with new money, and this isn't the old Orioles where they're not going to spend anything. When you come in with new money and you're rich owners who bought the team for a lot of money, you have to make a statement. You have to come in, you have to spend money, you have to keep your guys. And what better statement to make than trading for Corbin Burnes last offseason and then keeping him for a mass sum of money? I think that's what's going to wind up happening. I mean, there's a chance the Mets outbid them, sure. But I think everyone right now is focused on Soto. And I think at some point you'll see Burnes signing. I don't think the Yankees are involved. And truth be told, you haven't seen the Yankees be involved in any rumor. Have you seen a single Corbin Burnes Yankee rumor out there?
No, other than Yankee fans saying that they want him, I haven't seen.
Yeah, and I don't think the Yankees are involved. I really don't.
Right. Now let me just check something, because I think I screwed up here. Hold on. I'm going to check things. I'm going to check this live while you guys are watching this, because...
Yeah, sure.
Let's just see. Yeah, see, I screwed that up. Okay. We have a question from... Okay, so the first question we did just now is from David F. I screwed that up. So this is Betty's question. I don't have a graphic for it because I messed up. I'm
We're
sorry.
sorry, Betty.
I'm hungover from Thanksgiving. Okay, not really. I didn't drink or anything. It's food. It's a food hangover. So this is the question. Now that Snell is off the table, do you think we should move more quickly for a starting pitcher such as Corbin Burnes or Max Fried?
Yeah, neither of them. I think the Yankees are going to be involved in. I think Max Fried's another guy too, who I think the price tag is going to be too high for them. I think they're going to be on the lower end price tags, but higher upside pitchers. I think that's who they're going to be involved in. Remember, they did sign Rodon. What was it? 3 years ago now. They brought in Rodon for that big salary contract. I think it was actually 2 years ago now for that big salary contract. They brought in Marcus Stroman last year. I think that's the category they're gonna swim in right now. Those are the waters they're gonna be in. That Marcus Stroman territory of third pitchers with tremendous upside. Remember, Marcus Stroman came into the year last year pitching really well, and I think he'll be like a fifth starter this year. But I think the route you go is a Shane Bieber, a Walker Buehler. I think guys with large upside that are cheaper salaries. That seems to be the path I think they're going to head on. So I don't think Burnes or Fried are going to be on. And my only fear with all the Soto stuff, and I continue to say this, I do think the team that doesn't wind up with him, the longer this goes, is going to be at a disadvantage going next year. So the Yankees got to be careful. And if they plan on spending money like they said and improving the team, whether they get Soto or not, then go sign guys. What's the difference? If you're gonna sign guys, whether you get Soto or not, then go out and sign guys now, especially pitchers, because it doesn't make a roster difference at that point. So I would like to see them do it, Betty, but I don't know if it's gonna happen.
And then our third and final insider question is very similar because it's basically the same thing. So it's from Debbie. You were probably addressing this Friday, but with Snell gone, who do you think the Yankees will pursue? Hope you have a great turkey day. We had a great turkey day. I had a great turkey day. Did you have a great turkey day? Did you have good food?
I did. I had great food, and I saw a bunch of cousins that I haven't seen in maybe 20 years. So that was really cool too, like second or third cousins.
Oh, I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah, but really, I had a great time. So yeah, turkey day was a success, as it usually is.
Yeah.
Again, I think that they're going to be in the high upside, lower cost pitchers in the market this year. So yeah, I'm glad they didn't get Snell. I didn't want him.
Yeah, no, and he didn't want to come here. I mean,
I don't think he ever wanted to.
Yeah, like he may have met with them on Zoom, but like,
I think Blake Snell, his entire career, never wanted to be a Yankee, but never had an issue using the Yankees for driving up the price tag on himself.
Right. Right. So thank you to our insiders again, Betty and David. Sorry, I messed that up. I'm usually really good with the graphics and I don't mess things up, but I don't know what happened. Maybe my migraine from last night carried over into today and messed with my brain. So let's move to our first YouTube question from Rivka Meiselman, who's a regular. And Rivka says, this is addressed to you. Brian, are you willing to reconsider your previous position on Anthony Santander if the Yankees don't sign Soto? We'll need someone to fill in Soto's production, and Santander hit 44 home runs this season. He's a switch hitter and a very positive clubhouse influence. What do you say? Smiley face.
I don't think I ever was. I don't remember. Did I have an anti-Anthony Santander take?
Not like really negative, but yeah, you kind of did. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I might have. I don't know if he'll repeat that 44 homers of production. I'll say that.
Yeah.
He's never done that before in his career. Right. I know he did it last year, but last year was the first time in his career that he had a lot of protection around him. He had a lot of Orioles hitters in that lineup that produced a lot, and that's the first time in his Orioles career that he's ever really had that around him. So, and not that he won't have that with the Yankees, but we all know as Yankee fans, they go pretty bleak in parts of their lineup. So he won't have the protection that he had in the Orioles lineup, I don't think. Not that most of those guys hit anyway. I wouldn't be against it. I don't love Anthony Santander as a player, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be totally against it. I would caution you, though. I do think the Orioles are going to spend money this offseason. I think it'll be in a quieter sense, but I do think they're going to be that like hidden sniper team that comes in and makes some signings where you're like, ooh, like kind of stings a little bit. They did that last year with Corbin Burnes. I don't think there was ever a moment where you as a Yankee fan had Corbin Burnes on the Orioles radar at all. No one thought it. No one heard that rumor. That was nowhere to be found. And then all of a sudden, bang, out of nowhere, it was Corbin Burnes traded to the Orioles. And where the heck did that come from? So
they also needed people in the starting rotation because they
sure,
had
no,
injuries.
they needed guys,
Yeah.
but nobody thought the Brewers were trading him, and nobody thought the Orioles were going to be in the market for that, and they wound up being in it. So the Orioles, I feel like, are going to be that hidden sniper team once again, and like I said, you got to be a little hesitant when it comes to new ownership, especially new ownership of money. And now they don't have Steve Cohen money, but new ownership wants to make a stance. They want to prove something to their new fan base. So you can understand it a lot. But Steve Cohen, the first year he came in with the Mets, he came in and spent a lot of money because he wanted to ingratiate himself to the Met fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think this new family that bought the Orioles is going to be the exact same way. Remember, the Andres family did not spend money when they were there. They didn't want to spend a lot of money. The biggest contract that they've ever given out still to this day is the Chris Davis deal. So I don't think that I think new ownership's going to want to come in and ingratiate themselves to the Baltimore fans. So watch out and watch them give Corbin Burnes a massive deal. Watch them extend Anthony Santander. Watch them poke their head around and be involved in some deals. You haven't heard their name with Soto, but I could picture them poking their head around and making some big signings that you don't expect them to.
Yep. All right, coming up next, one more Fanmail Friday question, and then we will be answering any questions that you have in the chat. So get those questions in.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more all on the same page where you place all of your bets. Guys, college football playoff is going to be decided after this weekend. Think how crazy that is. You're going to have the whole lineup. Conference championship games are going to be set. It's wild. College basketball's returning. Premier League, Champions League. It's all happening. And we all need some extra Christmas bucks, right? You can get all that on FanDuel.com. If you join today, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Stacey, one last Fanmail Friday question. And let's be honest, what kind of Fanmail Friday would it be without closing it out with a question from Robbie Garnes? So, Robbie, this one's for you. This one could be for either Fanmail Friday or What If Wednesday. Imagine a world in which Tanaka-san did not hurt his UCL, or alternatively, if he had gotten the Tommy John surgery, made a full recovery. What do you think his career trajectory would have been? And secondly, what would the Yankees have been able to accomplish with Masa as their ace? The guy was great, but I feel like if he hadn't gotten injured, he'd have been an even better. Thanks and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. That's a really good point, Robbie. I will say this. As weird as this might sound, I don't leave Tanaka's career feeling like he didn't accomplish a lot. His career to me does not feel like an underperforming career. It doesn't feel like I don't know why. Maybe Yankee fans do have that consensus. And I think maybe I'm a little bit skewed only because I loved Tanaka's postseason performances so much. Like those performances meant so much to me as a fan that it kind of erased his seasons where he wasn't as great. But Tanaka was awesome throughout his entire career. Now I know Elton Japan is reminding us that Tanaka currently is a free agent in Japan. I do know that. He's a free agent, though, because he was lowballed in an offer that he got from the team that he was with, which means there's no way that a major league team is going to bring him in. If a Japanese team will bring him in for top dollar, there's no way that a major league team is going to bring him in. I think his career in the major leagues is over. His career pitching might be over. But I don't leave Tanaka's career as a Yankee with any sour taste in my mouth. And especially at the end, he only wanted to be a Yankee. He was either going back to Japan or playing for the Yankees. So he loved being a Yankee. He had some guts as a Yankee pitcher. And I really respected his career and had no problems with it. So I don't know about you, Stacey. I don't leave Tanaka's career with a sour taste in my mouth whatsoever.
No, I don't either. I loved Tanaka. I loved everything he did. I thought it was pretty badass of him to be pitching on a UCL that had a tear and having nothing happen to him. Because what a bummer that was. We were all excited about getting him. He was unbelievable his first few starts with the Yankees. And then that news comes out and it was like, I remember I was nauseated. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, this was
Mhm.
such a big deal when he came over,
And
and
he was so good at the start too. He
I
was
mean,
so good.
so many strikeouts, and I'm thinking of the guy that had the strikeouts, the K's on his head. It was a
Yeah,
Japanese guy
yeah.
sitting in the rich seats, during one of the first starts of Tanaka's Yankee career, and, yeah, I loved everything he did with the Yankees, and I do wonder if like, how it would have been different if the tear was more significant and he had to have Tommy John, what would have happened with his trajectory, with the Yankees'
Yeah.
trajectory, and who knows? Like, there are a lot of different things that could have
And then
happened.
he doesn't pitch. He doesn't pitch in that 2015 year. He doesn't pitch in the 2016 run. He doesn't pitch in 2017. So who knows when the injury actually happens, when he actually winds up missing time. There was no telling. And again, Tanaka's career ended. I don't know. I think we had such high expectations when Tanaka came into the league that we all thought he was going to be this unbelievable otherworldly talent. And then because he wound up not being that, we kind of hold it against him a little bit in a way. But Tanaka, to me, had a tremendous Yankee career. And I'll say this. I think whenever Tanaka returns in the future of his career, and whenever, to the Yankees, first pitches, all that kind of stuff are shown on the board, Tanaka will get massive, massive applause from Yankee fans.
Right. Here is a question from Graham Highlander. What do you guys think of knocking on the Cards door and seeing if Donovan is available? And then he adds, it would solve an infield problem and Cortez could be the one to offer there. He's talking about Brendan Donovan, the utility player.
I'm aware if there's a guy now Brendan Donovan had a career year last year. If there's a guy that I'm going after on the Cardinals, it's Nolan Arenado. Yeah. I know we keep hearing those rumors, and I know you kind of shut it down a few months ago of they're not going to get him. I would poke around because the Cardinals are a winning franchise, and it does seem like they're trending towards a rebuild, especially with the last couple of years being poor years. I know Arenado's a winning player and he wants to win. You're talking about a platinum glove guy. You're talking about a guy that every single year consistently gives 40 plus homers, 100 plus RBIs every single year. I think if you wind up not getting that's why this offseason is so challenging, right? Because it's all contingent on if you don't get Soto. But I think if you don't get Soto and then you wind up adding a guy like Nolan Arenado, that's not a terrible addition. It's really not. And you put him in the lineup now. Is he Juan Soto? No, but he's pretty damn close, especially a lot of his career got hidden in Colorado and stuff. I wouldn't hate that move. I'd poke around. I don't know if they're too keen on giving up Arenado, but not a crazy salary compared to what you see out there and what Soto's going to get. Not a wild salary for Arenado. The production is still there. And if the Cardinals want to go into a rebuild, they may be willing to get rid of him. I think it would take Spencer Jones, but I don't think I'd hate that move, to be honest with you.
Speaking of Soto, here's a comment. David L says, screw Soto, too greedy, get 4 players and improve across the team.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll never agree with those opinions. You get what you can get. Get what you can get out there. Like David, if you're still, in the chat listening, you can respond to the question here. And it's slightly rhetorical, but not totally. Whatever you do for a living, David, if there were multiple companies that bid on the same profession that you have, wouldn't you go to the highest bidder? And also, wouldn't you get as much money as humanly possible? Isn't that what we all do in our careers now? All of us out there, whether you have an agent or whether you have, whether you go on job sites and constantly looking at job sites, you're going towards the job that's going to pay you and give you the highest quality of life. That is what you're going to do. And I know we're talking about, monopoly money with these guys, right? I'm aware of that, but it's not greedy. That principle holds for the rest of your life where you're going to go after the most amount of money. And it's not Soto's fault that the market is what it is for him.
Right.
It's not. And I think lastly, we're all a little preconditioned when it comes to these players of, because if we watched players back in the day get paid next to nothing. Like, you remember when you gave that Dave Winfield stat on the contract that he signed? We're still so, we never saw Mickey Mantle get the chance to sign a $500 million contract. We never got, Joe DiMaggio didn't sign one of those contracts. But ask yourself this. If those guys, if the sport was what it was back then and is what it is now, what is the contract Mickey Mantle would have got? What's the contract Joe DiMaggio would have got? What's the contract Whitey Ford would have got? So when, and are you really sure that those guys wouldn't have stuck around and got every dollar possible? Remember, people thought Babe Ruth was crazy for getting $100,000 a year. They thought it was nuts that he was getting paid that much money. So you got to sit there and think, is it a lot of money? Yeah. Is it monopoly money? Yeah. But I don't call it greed, because we'd all do the same thing. I know I would. I'm pretty sure Stacey would. We'd all do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I don't understand the whole he's greedy thing, because he's a really good player. He's one of the best players in baseball. Like, he should get paid a lot, and he should get paid a lot and for a long time, because he's only 26 years old, and look at what he's done so far in his career. He literally has not hit his prime yet. That's what's scary about this.
Yeah.
Because guys tend to hit their prime starting with like 27 to like 32, depending on your position. That's basically your prime. He's still a year away from that. So could you imagine Juan Soto getting even better?
Yeah, try and picture what you were thinking in, I believe it was the 2018 offseason, whatever year it was that Harper and Machado became available. Because when they became available, they were both 27 years old, and the statement on them was, oh my God, these guys, two young players that are superstars, 27. We've never seen free agents at this age. He's a year younger than them. Right. And he's been in the league for longer than them. You're never going to see a player like this become available. It's never happened in the history of baseball, and it might not happen again, especially with this level of talent. If Juan Soto finishes on the trajectory that he's on and stays on this trajectory and winds up playing his career, he is going to finish off as a top 10 player in the history of baseball. Mm-hmm. He is. That's what his numbers are going to look like. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he's 26 years old, Stacey, which is insane to think about alone. The playoff success that he's had, he's already won a World Series, carrying a team, by the way. And look at his career numbers at the age, again, of 26 years old. He has 201 career home runs. So he's on pace for 600 homers.
And he's just 26. He turned 26 a month ago. So this coming season is his age 26 season. Yeah.
So he's got 201 home runs. So he's on pace for about 600 home runs in his career. He's got 592 RBIs. So he's on pace for over 2,000 RBIs. That would make him the fourth player in the history of baseball to have over 2,000 RBIs. His career batting average is 285, which in today's era is insane. His career on base is 421, which is ridiculous. And let's also mention, Stacey, he has 934 career hits at the age of 25, because he hasn't played his age 26 season. So right. He's got 14 years left in the big leagues, and he's got already almost 1,000 hits.
Yeah,
and he could easily be the second guy ever to reach 4,000 hits, and that's legitimately possible for him. So he is that good, and I do think I honestly believe that he's worth the money. I think he's going to be worth every penny that he signs for. And what's crazy about the game is you're at some point going to see a player sign for more than him.
Right.
You will. So don't be shocked by this contract. This deal might look like a bargain in a few years. Right.
That's scary to think about. Like, that's so much money. But then again, how many years ago were we thinking that we would never see, a $600-700 million contract, and we're here?
It is crazy, I will say, where the money has jumped to. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they signed Stacey Sabathia at like $162 million. And that was like the biggest pitching contract of all time. And they gave Garrett Cole $300 million. And that was, 10 years later? It is wild when you think about the jump that contracts have taken. Because it's gotten so out of control of what players are signing. A-Rob was the biggest deal ever, and it was like $250. So, I mean, think about...
$252. Yep.
Yeah. So, and the only reason it was $252 is because Boris wanted to double Kevin Garnett's deal, which at the time was the biggest deal of all time. So it is crazy what these guys are now signing for. But, like you said, we're at that era where teams are paying that. And before you think these guys are greedy too, go take a look at the Yankees' revenue every year. It's not too much greed, because Hal Steinbrenner is swimming in money.
Yeah. Quick story before we go.
Yes.
I was my friend's +1 on a business trip out to California because she was a media buyer, and she took me out. K-Cal was bringing her out there, and we sat in their box in Anaheim, which was right next to Scott Boris's law firm's box, who if you ever watched Yankee Angels games and you saw someone directly behind the plate, kind of leaning against the wall where the dugout suite ends with his arms crossed, that was Scott Boras watching his players. So he was there that night and we were leaving. And my friend Julie said, she said, hi, we know who you are. Nice to meet you. Thank you for A-Rod. We're Yankee fans. We're here from New York. Thank you for A-Rod. And he's like, oh, well, I didn't really do that much. She's like, no, thank you. She she put both her hands on his, and he thought it was so funny. And I was just like, yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm like,
it wasn't hard for A-Rod to accept the money, but you can still thank him for it.
Yeah, and it's like, thank Aaron Boone for busting his knee in that basketball game for the Yankees getting A-Rod. Really, but yeah, Scott Boras.
So in a way, wait. So in a way, because Aaron Boone decided to play pickup basketball that one day and tear his ACL, in a way, Aaron Boone has helped the Yankees win a championship.
Right.
Because if that doesn't happen,
09 World Series.
So you've been wrong this whole time. They've won a championship due to things that Aaron Boone's done. Yeah. How do you feel? You were wrong.
Incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. It's true though. It's true.
No, he resulted in the Yankees winning a World Series. Yeah.
Wow.
He's resulted in 2 Yankee pennants. 2024 and 2009.
Well, no,
you don't think of it that way.
03.
Well, yeah,
home runs to win
yeah, I guess he did have a lot to do with the 2003.
I mean, he hit the home run that won that pennant. Yeah, lest we forget. I know you were a baby back then, but
Yeah, I was all of 6 years old, so I don't remember it very well. But I guess you do have to say that he had a lot. He definitely had the most to do with the 2003 one as he did the other ones.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but thank you for tearing your ACL.
Yeah, thank you, Booney. Thank you for that. And thank you guys for joining us for this special live edition on a Friday night after, Black Friday. It's after Thanksgiving. No one knows it's Friday. Like, did today feel like a Saturday to you? Because tomorrow will feel like a Sunday.
Yep.
And then you'll wake up Sunday being completely confused and being like, oh, right, football's on. Okay, I guess it's Sunday. But then again, football was on today. Football was on yesterday. Football's going to be on tomorrow. So who the hell knows what day it is?
Yeah, no, we're in a paradox. And it is what it is.
It's crazy, but thanks again for joining us for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. And thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball. And he keeps you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys next week.